Hi, Richard at Film and TV Show. I'm here with Andrew Divoff, who was the very first man to scare me as the Djinn in Wishmaster. It's one of my favourite films.
Oh, well, thank you.
I absolutely love it. How did you find that? Because it's a very complex character, isn't it? It's not your average normal sort of character.
The biggest hurdle for me was the voice. Making sure that it made sense, that it had enough gravity for that character. Because once I saw the outfit, as it were, the makeup and the costume that went along with it. The makeup, of course, product of K&B Effects of Robert Kurtzman, and then the wardrobe so wonderfully made by Ann Wilson. I knew that the voice of this, this genie, this demon, had to be something special. So I was something that I was quite preoccupied with for weeks leading up to the start of principal photography. But a bit of serendipity. I ate hard lunches a couple of times with the makeup on, and didn't really appreciate the makeup artists digging chunks of food, not chunks, with little sort of crumbs out from between the mask. It was very sort of invasive, and I've sort of landed on snacks, jelly beans, which have whey in them, and cause the throat to sort of get that deep baritone going, and then I found myself drinking my lunches, not in that sense, but I was doing sort of protein shakes, and that again with the whey, that would sort of coat the throat and allow a much deeper, more gurgly voice to come out.
Can you still do it?
Oh yes.
Oh, that's class. And you've got a Djinn ring as well, which Gavin's also got as well. Which
I gave him. So his birthstone is a peridot, and his sweeties, Katie, of course, she would have to be born in April.
Diamonds, yes.
So we had to. When I say we, the Djinn and I, had to sort of bite the bullet.
That's so cool, that is.
Thank you. And so this was the artist's proof. I sculpted this. It took me 200 hours to do so. I did it in jeweler's wax, and if you take a look with the camera, you'll see that I could show you the corner of it, the corner of the block, of the wax block that I bought, and this was pretty much the back. And so I had never sculpted in jeweler's wax, but I knew that it was going to be tedious, and that I might give myself every advantage that I could just to help make it happen. And then, as I believe it was Michelangelo that said, he doesn't sculpt so much as he removes and allows what's in the stone, or in this case in the wax, to reveal itself. And this was a 20-year sort of, this one came out, I did it in 2000, and I brought it to the shows. And sold it at the shows, and then in 2017 I had this one made with the Djinn stone in his forehead. You can see the cut that was part of the same cut as in the stone in the movie. And so this is 2 ounces of silver. This one is 2 ounces silver polished. This is 2 ounces with rhodium plating and the garnet in the forehead. Yeah, my friends.
That's amazing, and all handcrafted by yourself,
Indeed.
all done by yourself.
Yes,
That's amazing. And obviously, you've not just done Wishmaster. You've done several other films and TV shows, most notably Lost.
Yes.
How did you find that? Because
Lost.
How did you like the ending?
It was a little confusing, and by that time, so I had moved on. I did come back for the 6th season, but not the end episodes.
Yeah.
And so, and at that time, when I left the island, and in this case referring to Oahu, I of course I got busy with other jobs, and I wasn't able to keep up with the ending. It was only a long time after that I did see it, and I was was thinking, whoa, okay, wait a minute. So I had to go back and 3 or 4 episodes before that and sort of catch up. And still, how did I find? I didn't find it. I was wondering. I was befuddled.
Okay.
As I know a lot of people were.
Yeah.
And so I know that everyone was hoping for a sort of an ending that would explain every single season and be the perfect wrap-up gift, put it under a tree. But I think we all knew in the back of our heads that was not only a tough thing to do, but it was likely not to happen.
Yeah.
I love the show. It has a place in my heart and will forever. And I kid you not, I spent the first days after, so my first episode, I was flown out to Hawaii. I stepped up into the camera, looked into the lens, and then that was it. And then I was going home, and I thought, well, that was something. And then I went home, and as I was leaving, I was told, well, you'll be back. And I thought, well, I've heard that before. But I did, in fact, get to come back. The very next episode that I filmed was the episode Enter 77.
Yeah.
And that was, I was so thrilled to be there. And when I saw, because as you may remember, the scripts were a big mystery. They were sort of hidden from the actors for a while.
Yeah.
And as I got off the plane, I thought somebody was going to be there and hand me a script. Nobody there. So it wasn't until I got to the hotel, and they said, make sure you check at the front desk. Sure enough, there's an envelope with my name on it and tape. I mean, you know how hard it is to get a CD open. You're thinking, well, I mean, it's a CD for crying out loud. It's a, you know, I mean, why is it locked up like it's some Swiss bank or something? And so the script was even worse. So I took it to the room, opened it up, reading through it, and I thought, oh my goodness. The episode was quite wonderful. It took us, I believe, a total of 8 or 9 days. We did 1 full week and then stepped 2 days into the following episode's week. I never slept. I didn't sleep. I was so excited. And it's so cute. Evangeline Lilly was wonderful to work with, and a beautiful human. I remember coming to set every day, and she said, did you sleep? Did you get some sleep last night? And I said, I didn't. And it got to the point where I figured, well, if I'm lying on my back, even if I'm staring at the ceiling, at least I'm lying on my back. Some part of me must be resting.
Yeah.
But it was amazing, just the energy, and I think the energy was sort of, I drew it from the fact that, first of all, I was lucky enough to be there, playing this wonderful character, and I just thought, well, what the heck, man? So I'm not sleeping. All right, whatever. But that episode, I'll remember it forever. That fight with Naveen Andrews, got to work with Terry, and it was just such a well-rounded episode. I have a lot of love for it. Curly the Bull was interesting. I showed up early, and they said, okay, you're going to be carrying a bucket, and he loves these things, so make sure you're paying attention. Don't get behind him. He will kick you. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, I have to keep all of this in mind. And then I remember on one of the roles, okay, action, walking along, Curly's following me, and he is laser focused on those biscuits in that bottle. And I wasn't, I guess I wasn't paying him enough attention or giving him the biscuits as quickly as he thought I should. And so Curly starts to, smack me with the side of his head, and I'm thinking, okay, Curly's, he's an improvisational Curly. He likes to do his improvisational bull stuff.
Yeah.
And so next thing I know, he's literally bouncing me off the fence, and nobody's calling cuts. So I said, well, I'll keep going with it. And one time, I had enough, and so I just kind of threw my elbow out, and Curly, and I thought, oh boy, let's see what happens now. But Curly, it kind of woke him up, and he said, okay, dude, open the gate, get me in there so I can have a biscuit. so I got it open and took him in there, and I'm thinking, wow, made it out of that one alive.
Cool, yeah, because he could have literally just kind of gone for it.
Absolutely. But he was a sweetheart. Throughout that day, because he was only there for that day, and perhaps the following day for some exterior shots. But I'd go by and I'd spend a little time with him and rub his scruff, you know, and he was a good buddy. He was a good soul. But as I say, I'll never forget that episode. It was something that really changed my life. Good crew, good people. Naveen Andrews was wonderful and did that fight wonderfully. And the best part of that particular episode was when we'd break and cut. You know, and I would insist that Naveen get his guitar out. He's a wonderful guitarist.
Really?
And a beautiful voice. And you could pick any song you wanted, he could play it. Wonderfully. Beautiful guy.
Amazing. And how are you finding being in Cambridge? Is this your first time here? Is it?
My first time in Cambridge. Been in the UK now, oh goodness, I would say a decade of times. I've been here a while. I mean, a few times.
Yeah.
Cambridge, my first time. I haven't had the pleasure of walking around town. I know I need to see the Fitzwilliams.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I'll be perhaps staying an extra day Monday.
Yeah.
And just kind of trip around the town a little bit. But it's beautiful. I was lucky enough yesterday to do the Green King brewing tour.
Yeah. Gavin says that was a bit of a secret for everybody. You didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, it was wonderful, man. I got to go do that, and then we ended up at the Nutshell pub.
Yeah.
All three of us, we went in, and of course the place was packed with 4 people.
Okay. Very small pub.
Small pub, but charming. And Paul, who's the beer tender there, he was a really good guy, wonderful guy, and I had to treat myself to a T-shirt.
Excellent. And you're wearing a T-shirt from your brand of beer that you're doing.
Yes, indeed. This is my Djinn's Hellebrew, and that was a tribute, of course, to the Djinn. And it was first poured at, you may know Gina Migliozzi and her Rock and Shock show in Boston.
Yeah.
So she was kind enough to, I said, okay, I'm going to come out to the show, and I know that you do charity stuff. I'd like to do something a little special, a little extra. Would it be okay to bring my beer and pour it? Because I was doing basically garage brewing. And so I wanted to bring the brew out there and pour it for charity. And I was hoping to raise $500, and the beauty of it was that we raised, I think, close to $1,500, and I split it with Gina. My half went to Smile Train, and she had a couple of charities, one being the Pat Brody Cat Shelter, and the other being the Dave Brokey Fund, Dave Brokey from Guar. Yeah. And so we were quite happy with it, and so since then, and this is my artwork for it, and incidentally for all of you Wishmaster fans, I decided that the Djinn should have his own coat of arms, if you will. This is in fact a D, that's a J, this is the I in the middle, and 2 N's.
That's very clever.
A bit of a hidden sort of a tribute to the Djinn and his coat of arms. And this actually, so I have my Djinn's Hellebrew, and this is pretty much the label of it. It's a Belgian blonde ale, strong blonde ale, and comes in at about 8% ABV. And it on the front you get the Persian lime both on the nose and on the front. Finishes nicely with a roasted habanero in the back of your throat. Makes a wonderful bloody beer.
What got you into brewing your own beer?
You know, it was really that, and again I give Gina a lot of credit and much thanks for allowing me to do that, because there's one thing about asking people to donate to a noble cause, and another to do the same thing and then hand them a beer. That donation's going to come across.
Yeah. Whereas
people might otherwise, well, you know, I already donate and I give, and I'm, beer. Well, of course, you know. So, and it was $10 a pour, and it went beautifully, really, really beautifully. And as I say, we raised close to $1,500, so I was quite happy about that and quite happy with it.
Has the beer progressed from when you first brewed it?
You mean as far as the flavor?
Yeah, flavor, consistency, ABV.
You know, I would say that I toned down the Scovilles, the measurement of the scale of heat, the peppers, would have had it off the charts for that first pour because it was hot.
Yeah, I can imagine it was.
No question about it. And so the next few pours, I sort of experimented with a small batch, and finally got it honed down. Of course, and now with the big batches I'm brewing, so 10-barrel batches, pretty much about what is that? 35,000 pints. Is it more like maybe 25 to 30,000 pints, and a good 300 plus gallons of beer. We've gotten it to where it comes out fairly consistent. Every now and then it might be missing a little in the heat or be overly heated. And so in the process before fermentation, I'll blend it down a bit,
yeah.
just to get it consistent. But yes, that and so now since then I've got a total of 8 beers that I do now. I've been pouring at local events, brewfests in Los Angeles. We were named top 10 beer for our porter. My Robusto Imperial Porter comes in at 8.5%, and is what I did is I dry hopped it with golden raisins that were steeped for 3 months in black rum, and then I also put toasted coconut in. Really a rich, mellow, roasty, toasty flavor. And then I've got my Imperial IPA. We call it Cowboy, and it's a tribute to the Southwest. Again, about 8.5%. I like my higher.
You like it quite high, yeah.
And lastly, I have a beer. I ran a logging crew for a little bit, for about, well, right up until I got lost. So for 3 years. And I remember that at the end of the day, we were experiencing a bark beetle infestation on the mountain, and there were trees coming down everywhere. We lost 90% of our ponderosa pine, so our ecology literally changed up there. And so the end of the day was wonderful because we'd split the money up for that day and watch the sun go down with a lager. And so I now make a lager called Lager.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's made with spruce tips, real spruce tips. We are all grain. We use no extracts, and we use harvested fresh ingredients for our hopping. And so that's quite a refreshing, beautiful beer. And so yeah, so I'm in. So now I'm 2 months into I've taken my Robusto, and I'm aging it in black rum barrels for 6 months and 1 year, and I'll bring it out at about 13%, 12.5, 13%. And and it's called Mystic Mast Black Rum Stout is what it will be called. Okay. And Gavin is responsible for the label artwork on that. And, I don't know if you've had a chance to see it, but you might.
I've seen early bits of it. He hasn't shown me the last bits.
I will when you come back to the table. I'll open up. I'll sign one of the labels, one of the prints to you, and you must have Gavin do the same, and then take a picture, show it to your friends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will do it. Finally, where can we buy any of your beer here?
Come on over.
Because literally it's, I mean, I quite like my lager, my ale and stuff, and all Gavin has done today is talking about the beer when I spoke to him, and before today, he said, you've got to try it. He was like, it's beautiful, he's got this, it will change your life. He said such nice things. I said to Gavin earlier, has Andrew brought some with him?
Yes.
I think he's got a little bit, but I'm not sure. But you're like at the back of the queue for people that want it.
Well, and so what I'm hoping, and what I fully intended to do coming over here, and I was lucky enough to meet Ross, the youngest brewmaster, rather master brewer in the UK, and he is now the master brewer at Green King. And so I visited a couple of the breweries with the intent of collaborating on a style, on a recipe, and sort of help me to, instead of trucking it over, if you will, or
Yeah.
floating it over, having it brewed locally,
Okay.
and then sold. So I'm going to see. I'm also looking at the possibility of maybe collaborating with either Brewshed or Nethergate
Okay.
Brewing, and both of those places impressed me greatly. And one of the first things you look at in a brewery, and Green King was a perfect example of this, is cleanliness.
Hmm.
And if you ask anybody who's associated at all with a brewery, what the main thing they do is, they'll tell you cleaning.
Cleaning.
Pretty much cleaning, you know. So I was very impressed with that, and so I'm hoping that I leave with some sort of understanding and an ability and a possibility of following up on brewing my recipes here, and conversely having that brewery brew their recipes in the States,
Yeah.
and so that we can introduce our local population to their brews.
Because you only really do it in sort of where you live, don't you?
Right now, yes. It would be foolish. I don't have the equipment, the gravity, put it that way. I don't have the gravity yet of being able to say make beer for a larger area than my immediate community, and perhaps a little beyond that. Once I grow and develop, then that will of course change. But for now, I have to be smart. I don't want to disappear.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
No, that's brilliant. Andrew, thank you so much for tonight.
You bet.
I really,
Yeah.
really appreciate
Thank you.
it. Thank you so
And
much.
if I may say to my friends out there, cheers, beer nuts.